Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Pac-Man Jones with Savannah Seaport News, and today I'm giving you something that I've been promising for quite some time. I've been wanting to do this ever since I started my YouTube channel, the Troy Davis case. I originally wanted to do this on the 9th of October, but since the hurricane shut off my power, I had to delay things. But today's the day. But before I get into the Mark MacPhail shooting, I'm gonna talk about the event that happened before that. There was a party in Cloverdale Drive. That's in the Cloverdale neighborhood. Apparently, Troy Davis attended the party, and during the party, eventually some altercation happened at the party. And I'm reading this, and it says Davis shot at a car a couple hundred feet away from the car, and a bullet shattered the back windshield and lodged in Michael Cooper's right jaw. Michael Cooper, he was, I guess, around at the party, and he was treated and released. And this is documented, and this said it also took place 1 hour before Officer MacPhail was shot. Now I'm gonna get into that. Now, shortly after Michael Cooper was shot, Eric Ellison and Dee Dee Collins picked up Davis in Cloverdale and took him to Brown's Pool Hall in Savannah. Sylvester Red Coles was also there. He was wearing a yellow t-shirt, and after when they left there, they went to the Burger King to get something to eat. And this is where the whole incident takes place. Now this is where it gets a little bit more detailed. Now they say this happened around 1 a.m. on Saturday, on August 19th. Like I said, Larry Young, who was present at the scene, told police that between midnight and 1 a.m. he had walked from Burger King parking lot to the convenience store down to the block to get some beer. Larry Young was the homeless man who was assaulted. I'm gonna explain that a little bit more. Sylvester Red Coles saw Larry Young leave the pool hall next door. Believe that I was next door to the Burger King, and started following Mr. Young and started harassing him, just demanding beer. And Coles, he continued to harass Mr. Young. So Sylvester Coles was already harassing Larry Young before Troy Davis and his friend Daryl Collins before they could even show up, because Troy Davis and his friend took a shortcut to the parking lot, and they was really by Sylvester Coles, they was acquaintance at the time. Now this is where it gets tricky. Now it's saying that during the harassment of the homeless man Larry Young, they're saying that Troy Davis pistol whipped the homeless man, striking him in the face with a snub-nosed pistol in the head. And Mr. Young started to bleed because of being struck in the head. Officer Mark MacPhail, he was a Savannah police officer at the time. He was working as a security guard at the restaurant, and I believe he was working in the Greyhound parking lot area. He responded to the disturbance, and he walked really up to the scene with like a nightstick in his hand and ordered the three men to halt. Mr. Collins, Mr. Daryl Collins, and Troy Davis ran. Officer Mark MacPhail ran past Sylvester Coles in pursuit of Davis. Now, again, this is where it gets a little bit hairy. Now, it says Davis looked over his shoulder, and when the officer was 5 to 6 feet away, he shot him. And Mark MacPhail fell to the ground, and he was shot 2 more times, because I believe he was shot a total of 3 times. And really, it's just another story to that as well. Now, what Troy Davis was testifying in court, he was saying that Sylvester Red Coles was the only one that had a gun Sylvester Red Coles was the one that shot the person in Cloverdale, and not only that, but he the one that shot Sylvester Red Coles. Sylvester Red Coles was the one that shot Mark MacPhail. And what Troy Davis was also saying, that one thing that he was guilty of was just being around Coles at the time of the shooting and just following him, because he didn't know that Sylvester Red Coles was going to shoot the officer. Now, after the shooting happened, Troy Davis immediately fled to Atlanta. He was caught on August the 23rd of that same year. It was a big manhunt for Troy Davis. I mean, he surrendered himself. They got his family to negotiate him just to turn himself in, because he went all the way up to Atlanta, and then they brought him back to Savannah. And on November 15th, 1989, Davis was indicted on murder charges, aggravated assault, obstruction, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime. And although no weapon was found, witnesses testified that Davis was the shooter the first time, and it was just really a big debate whether it was Sylvester Coles that did the shooting, or Davis, because Davis was just contesting that Sylvester Coles did the shooting. And April 30th, 1990, Troy Davis' lawyer entered a plea of not guilty. They also requested a change of venue due to excessive pretrial publicity. And July the 30th, the trial was set for October. Now, October the 12th, the trial was postponed to December because Troy Davis' lawyer requested a physiological evaluation. November the 9th came of 1990. Judge James W. Head bans evidence seized during a search of the home of Troy Davis' mother, Virginia Davis. Prosecutors attempt to appeal the ruling and are turned down. And November the 15th of 1990, prosecutors asked the court to delay Troy Davis' trial while they appealed the banning of evidence that was seized. The stay is granted. And in May 1991, Georgia Supreme Court upholds the ban of evidence seized by officers during the raid of Troy Davis's mother's home. And in May 31st, 1991, the judge set Troy Davis' trial for August the 19th of that year. And Troy Davis' lawyers also requested that cameras be banned from in the courtroom or from the trial, because it was just a high publicity, highly notarized case. Now, on August the 22nd, opening statements were just made. The following day, on the 23rd, August the 23rd, 1991, witness Harriet Murray identifies Troy Davis as the shooter and says he smiled as he shot Officer Mark MacPhail. August the 26th, testimony includes a statement from Kevin McQueen that Davis admitted to shooting him. August the 27th, Davis takes the stand and denies shooting Officer Mark MacPhail. He said he fled the scene before shots were fired. August the 28th, the closing statements are made, and the jury took about 2.5 hours to convict Davis. And on August the 30th of 1990, the jury sentenced Davis to death. Now, concluding that he was convicted of murder 3 days after testimony. Since the conviction, 7 of the 9 witnesses have recanted their testimony in an effort to free Davis, because some of the witnesses, a lot of them said that they was getting pressured from other police officers to say, hey, make this statement about Troy Davis that he shot Officer Mark MacPhail, or we're going to threaten your life. One guy said that he couldn't even read, and they just told him just to sign it. I mean, there's just been stories of just police intimidation at that. Even Mr. Young, the homeless man who Officer Mark MacPhail tried to help, He even told CBS News that the police told him to identify Troy Davis as the killer, or else we're going to do something to you. I don't know what that something was, but I'm pretty sure that something was violence. I'm pretty sure that something was, we're going to lock you up or kill you or do anything to you. And in October 1st, 1991, Troy Davis lawyers filed a motion for a new trial. In 92 of February 18th, 1992, lawyers present their arguments for a new trial. March 20th, 1992, Judge Head upholds the convictions, sending further appeals to the Georgia Supreme Court. And on February 26, 1993, the Georgia Supreme Court upholds the conviction and sentence of Davis. And in March 3rd of 1994, Judge Head signs the first order of execution. It also ended Davis' rounds of direct appeals to his conviction. Assistant District Attorney David Locke, who was assisted in the prosecution of Davis, states that Davis has another 10 years of petitions left before a meaningful execution date. And also in March 15, 1994, there were requests for a new trial in the Superior Courts of Butts County, Georgia. So they want to have a new trial in a different county. And in September the 9th, 1997, Georgia Supreme Court denies requests for a new trial and claimed that Davis was not the shooter, according to documents from the GA Attorney General's office. In October the 1st, 2001, U.S. Supreme Court denies requests to hear a case. December the 14th, 2001, request for a new trial made in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Georgia, Savannah Division. And in May 13th, 2004, the request denied by the U.S. District Court. And in September the 7th, 2005, the case goes before 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. On September 26, 2006, the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals denies claim that trial was constitutionally unfair. So the Court of Appeals just claimed that it was a constitutionally fair trial. And April 11th, 2007, Davis files appeal with the U.S. Supreme Court. On June 25th, 2007, the U.S. Supreme Court refuses to review the conviction and sentence. Later, the Georgia Department of Corrections orders Davis' execution. July 9th, 2007, lawyers file an extraordinary motion for a new trial, stating that there is substantial evidence that another man shot and killed Officer Mark MacPhail. July 10th, 2007, the Georgia Board of Pardons received letters from human rights and activist supporters from Davis. Tanya Johnson, a witness in the case, states that she saw another man dump the guns after the shooting. She said she didn't come forward early because she fears the man she believed to be the actual shooter. July 12th, same year, prosecutors argued the new evidence is old. And July 13th, Judge Penny Friesman rejects Davis' appeals and refuses to stay his execution. July 16th, the Board of Pardons and Parole suspended Davis' execution for 90 days. As the month wears on, letters continue to pour in to the board asking for clemency or setting aside the death penalty, and just rather give him just life in prison. That's what they wanted to, but they wanted to just really give him the lethal injection. On August 3rd, the Georgia Supreme Court agrees to hear an appeal for a new trial. August 6th, a second clemency hearing is suspended as the lawyers seek a new trial. November 13th of 2007, the Georgia Supreme Court hears Davis' request for a new trial. Now in 2008, of March 17th, the Georgia Supreme Court rejects Davis' contention that witness recant should allow a new trial. They reject his request a second time in April. And September the 3rd of 2008, Troy Davis' execution was set for September the 23rd of 2008. And on September the 23rd, the actual date where he was supposed to be executed, the U.S. Supreme Court grants Davis a stay of execution. And October the 11th, the same year, the U.S. Supreme Court again rejects a request to review the case. And on the 12th, the next day, October the 27th execution date is set. But on the 24th, 3 days prior, the 11th U.S. Circuit Courts of Appeals grants a stay for him yet again. And following that, on December the 9th of the same year, 2008, the Circuit Courts hears Davis' bid for a new trial. And in 2009 of April, the 11th U.S. Circuit Courts reject Davis' appeal. In June, the NAACP appeals to Chatham County District Attorney Larry Chisholm to reopen the case. Various groups urged the case to be reopened. Meanwhile, the U.S. Supreme Court delays ruling in the case until its next term. Now, in August the 17th of 2009, U.S. Supreme Court rules that the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Georgia must hear evidence in the case. So they actually have to listen to the evidence in this case. And on August the 19th of 2009, the 20th anniversary of the shooting of Mark MacPhail, that was the anniversary of 2009. That was the 20-year anniversary of Mark MacPhail's death. And in January of 2010, Troy Davis' lawyers seek police files in the case, saying that they hold evidence not presented at the trial. Now, in February of 2010, the state's attorney suggests defense attorneys properly obtain witness recantations. And in June the 22nd, 2010, Davis' attorneys presented what they say is evidence that he did not kill Officer Mark MacPhail, as they were seeking a new trial. On June the 23rd, 2010, the 2-day evidence hearing wraps up. The prosecution argued that witnesses' recanting testimony is unreliable, and defense did not meet the standards proving that Davis is innocent. So basically, what they're saying in that statement was the people that recanted the stories, the 7 out of 9 people that said, hey, Troy Davis didn't actually shoot the guy, they were just saying that the evidence, the saying that Troy Davis didn't shoot him wasn't substantial enough. It didn't hold up any in court. Not only that, but it's just this case was just really a mess, man. Even though the 7 out of 9 people said that they were pressured by police, that they were intimidated, even by the shooter, the actual shooter, Sylvester Red Coles, even though that they were even intimidated by all these people, that their testimony is it doesn't hold up, it's insufficient. So in August of 2010, they rejected his appeal, and the next appeal must be applied to the U.S. Supreme Court. In January the 21st, 2011, attorneys for Davis appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. Attorneys for Davis were told in October they must appeal the ruling to the U.S. Supreme Court, not the 11th Court of Appeals. Attorney for Davis made 2 arguments in the filing. The 11th Circuit Court of Appeals had jurisdiction to hear the case, and they should be the ones to review the U.S. District Judge William Moore opinion in the first instance. If the 11th Circuit does not have jurisdiction, the Supreme Court should hear Davis' case because he has introduced extensive evidence that he did not commit the crime for which the state of Georgia wishes to execute him, according to Davis' attorney Jason Ewert. And in March of 28, 2011, the Supreme Court rejects an appeal from Davis. And on September the 7th, 2011, they ordered an issue making September the 21st, Troy Davis execution date at 7 p.m. Now, also on the 7th, the Georgia Board of Pardons and Parole said that the hearing before the board has been scheduled for 9 a.m. September 19th in Atlanta. This would be their opportunity to request clemency. And in September the 7th, 2011, nearly 50 Georgia Congress members signed a letter to the Georgia Board of Pardons and Paroles asking for clemency. And on September 9th, Davis' sister launches an online campaign to petition Davis' clemency. And man, that petition had a lot of signatures. It had more than 600,000 signatures urging the state's pardon board to grant Davis clemency. On September 19th, 2011, the Georgia Board of Pardons and Paroles hold a clemency hearing. Troy Davis' lawyer goes before the board to ask for clemency. The board hears the testimony from witnesses and family members and jurors from the 1991 trial who say they now believe there is doubt in the case. Outside the building, Davis supporters rallied for his clemency. More than a dozen supporters gathered outside for Chatham County Courthouse. If it was granted, Davis would spend the rest of his life behind bars and would be spared from execution. But since that didn't happen, he was going to be scheduled for lethal injection on Wednesday that following week. On September the 20th, 2001, the Georgia Board of Pardons and Paroles rejected the request for clemency for Troy Davis. And September the 21st, 2001, that was Troy Davis' last day living because he was executed. He was actually scheduled to be executed at 7 p.m. at the Georgia Diagnostic and Classification Prison in Jackson, Georgia. Now, before his execution, I just want to say a few things. Troy Davis' attorney made two requests. A request was made to Georgia prison officials to allow Davis to take a polygraph test to prove his innocence, but that was denied. Another defense attorney also filed a last-minute appeal in Butts County Superior Court, claiming that the ballistic test that linked Davis to the shooting was flawed. And there was another appeal made to the U.S. Supreme Court just hours before Troy Davis was scheduled to be executed. Temporary delay was issued until the U.S. Supreme Court can respond to the last-minute U.S. appeal. The U.S. Supreme Court refuses to halt the execution of Troy Davis, and I'm gonna read some of his final hours of his timeline that he actually lived. Before he was scheduled to be executed, he had time to see his loved ones, his family members. I believe he had about 3 or 4 hours to see them. He refused his final meal, so he didn't even actually get a final meal. And 4 hours after the scheduled time, he died at 11:08 because he was scheduled to die at 7 p.m. that day. And what I can say about this case is, his final words were actually, I like to address the MacPhail family, let you know, despite the situation you are in, I'm not the one who personally killed your son, your father, your brother. I am innocent. The incident that happened that night is not my fault. I did not have a gun. All I can ask is that you look deeper into the case so that you really can finally see the truth. I ask my family and friends to continue to fight this fight. For those about to take my life, God have mercy on your souls, and may God bless your souls. Now, doing this story, man, it was really emotional. I ain't gonna lie to you. This story, at first I really wasn't gonna do it, because the first day I did this, I tried reading up all my information for the story. Man, I cried, man. I cried so hard. And I tell you why, man. I mean, this guy, I mean, he lived a hard life. I mean, if he also had just had to defend his innocence, which he ended up later dying for. I mean, this is a guy that protested his innocence, that he didn't have anything to do with it. And there was also people, just think of this, guys, there's also people that were saying that police intimidated me to make a statement against you. That it was, man, it's just, it's crazy. And ever since Officer Mark MacPhail, his death, there's only been 2 officer related deaths in Savannah. One in March 11th, 1994, of police officer Willie Samuel Smith. He died in a vehicle assault. I believe he was hit by a car. And another police officer death, a K9 unit, actually a K9 Bastion, that was his name, actually died on July 10th, 2015 at the Savannah State University, because they have Savannah State University actually has a police department out there. And those are the only 2 deaths after Officer Mark MacPhail. Now, people are still saying that they didn't get the right man. The family of Mark MacPhail, they feel like they got the right person, that they executed the right person. I mean, you guys know how I feel about it. I don't think they got the right person at all. I mean, if you had people recanting stories saying that Sylvester Red Coles was the one that did the shooting, not only that, but he also admitted in a later conversation he had to somebody that he was the one that shot Mark MacPhail. So I mean, I really don't believe Troy Davis was the killer. And you had man, this was nationwide, man. This was a big case. Everybody across the United States was calling in on this. I remember listening to a radio show, I believe maybe a day before the execution, and people was all over, calling from all over. People from Texas, people from New York. There was they had New York protests about ending lethal injections. It really was protests to stop Troy Davis execution, and some other protest was made for stopping the death penalty, because a lot of people wanted the death penalty to end. Whether if I agree on that or not, I mean, it's just 2011 is a different time between then and now, in 2016, of course, because a lot of people didn't want the death penalty then, but now in today's society, when you look at people walking in clubs and killing 50 people, walking in malls and shooting 10 people, I mean, do we still want the death penalty? I mean, I want a death penalty for those guys. Sure, I mean, give me the death penalty for somebody that killed 15 people in a row. Yeah, I mean, I want a death penalty for that, because I don't think a taxpayer should pay for somebody who's walking in the church and executing 9 to 10 black people. No, I mean, I just feel like they didn't really execute the right guy. And I really want you guys to get in that comment section. Let me know how you feel about the case. Let me know where you stand at on this case in particular. Did you feel like Troy Davis was innocent, or do you feel like Troy Davis deserved to die? I mean, let me know, guys. I mean, it's your opinion in this case. Let me know where you at on this one. And I'm really glad I did this one. I mean, this case really took a whole lot of energy out of me, man. Like I said, man, I was really emotional the first day looking up all this stuff. I mean, it's just, I mean, it's a travesty of justice, you ask me. Even his lawyer said this was a legal lynching, and indeed it was. And all I can say to Troy Davis and his family, I mean, unfortunately, I think that Georgia executed the wrong person. So I'm sorry that the Davis family lost someone so significant to them, and also I'm sorry that the MacPhail family lost somebody close to them, because a police officer don't deserve to die as well. I know I didn't really examine the Mark MacPhail family, but I mean this was really just more about Troy Davis. But I mean, that's all I have for today, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed everything, but that's all. It's Patman Jones with Savannah Seaport News, and I'm out.